So I should learn how to pronounce this guy's name first at some point. Herodotus, Herodotus, the Greek historian, reported that in ancient Persia, they tended to deliberate on important matters while they were drunk. Then they would reconsider the decisions the following day when they were sober. If it happened that their first deliberation took place when they were sober, then they would reconsider the matter well under the influence of wine. If a decision was approved both drunk and sober, the decision held. If not, the Persians set it aside. My name is Willows, and this is Tyler Bergen, and we're both young business guys who still adhere to these ancient traditions. So join us as we debate and discuss business topics, moves we're making, politics, and more, both sober and then drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusion. This is Alcohol Beyond This Point. Boom. Hey, this is, my name is Willows.
And my name is Tyler.
And,
this is episode 1, titled Ill Prepared. And when is the right time to start a podcast?
Yeah, topic today is when's a good time to start anything, I think. Like business.
Yes.
Because so I kind of posted a status. First off, what are we drinking today? We're going...
Let's do this professionally.
Okay, we got two... I was feeling pretty humid today, so we got two... this is a Radler. This is a crafty Radler from New Brunswick, I think. And then this is not a Radler, but it is a grapefruit beer by a local company, Half Pints. And then we got a bottle of my company, Shrugging Doctor, our apple cider. We have a big-ass, high-percentage Belgian Strong from another local company, Non-Such Brewing. And then we're going to probably pass out on the 19 Crimes, The Warden. It's a 14.5% red wine. So, yeah.
This one, the hangover maker.
I'm going to crack the beer first.
Not the Non-Such.
Yeah. So I kind of posted a status on Facebook asking what people would be interested in hearing us kind of debate. And one of the things someone was talking about was like when it ended up being a shit show. I don't know if you saw the comment thread, but like there was
I didn't read it.
40 people yelling at each other.
Perfect.
Because this guy was basically like, oh, when's a good time to like quit my job and start a thing or whatever like that. And basically people were like, well, if you have to ask, then you're probably not an entrepreneur. You're not the fit for this.
That's just the worst thing to say.
Yeah, so we were kind of thinking about it because we've been thinking about starting this podcast for a few months now, right?
Since it was cold outside, I think.
Yeah, because to contextualize, Tyler and I are good friends, and we're both business owners, and we kind of like, as being a business owner, you have a lot of stress and problems, so we kind of like work through our problems by just bouncing ideas off each other, but we do it while drinking copious amounts of alcohol. And like I can say it has honestly helped my business. I think probably yeah,
big time.
Like we've worked through real problems.
I'm in this business because of one of our drunken debates.
Exactly. So it's helped us a lot. So we're kind of thinking we'll just do it on camera, right, and do it on the podcast. So I think that'd be fun. So we're talking about we've been thinking about this podcast for a while, and then. So I think a good theme today would be to like, when's the right time? Because we literally, so we're recording this on my phone and not on mics because we didn't prepare. Because we literally 2 days ago, we're like, want to film that podcast? We're like, yeah. We're like, Thursday? Okay, let's go. So we have one phone set up recording a video, one phone in the middle of the table recording audio. We didn't bring any glasses because we're ill prepared, so we're just drinking out of the bottles. And
we're at an office, so there's only coffee mugs and water glasses.
Yeah, so we're ill prepared, but I think that's kind of the point that we wanted to get on, was that doing something shitty is better than not doing it at all.
Yeah, and the camera is my phone propped on the microphone stand of an actual camera, ironically enough.
Yeah.
And we're in my office in the boardroom.
So do you think there's ever a situation where you should just hold out and work a job and save up money before starting a business?
I don't think saving up money is a good enough reason.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is a good enough reason?
Not being, I guess, educated or prepared in a way.
Okay. But, like, I guess you've done it.
Yeah.
I have not. I just jumped into every fucking thing I have done.
Correct. So both are correct.
Fair. Do you think that you could have learned more jumping into something and failing, though?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. And I probably would have learned, I think the biggest thing, and I got this hard shock this week, was I got a reality check from partners of the business here, the ones that founded this company. I only came along later. They've pulled me aside, and after having a rough month that didn't feel so bad, but, you know, from the outside, I'm like, oh, that was pretty bad. And, you know, they're asking me, like, what happened? Why is it like this? Like, I thought you were a rock star. Like, where's this coming from? This is, you know, this is not what you sold us on. And it was like, it was a hard meeting for me to sit there and listen to that. But I actually quite enjoyed it. I left feeling very energized because during it, I realized that I was living out some of the bad habits that I learned from working under bad entrepreneurs. Maybe not, quote, bad entrepreneurs if you're listening, but
culture that maybe you weren't.
Right. It being underneath someone is not being the same as being a leader. There is a miles wide gap between a upper level manager and a C-suite level person.
Like a CEO
and a CEO and a CFO. There's a big gap between those two types of people.
Yeah.
From the C-suite to everyone else. And then there's another big jump from the C-suite to the actual entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much in mindset, but in the kind of personalities you're going to find.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I basically figured out that, you know, I was behaving like an employee, felt like an employee, but I had every tool at my disposal to act like an owner, but I wasn't taking it because every time I'd done that in the past, you know, I get bitch slapped back into employee seat because I'm now threatening the position of the owner.
Yeah. Which, again, I don't want to call anybody out, but, like, which kind of, like, no, and I guess I've kind of been there. Like, I was going to say, like, that's kind of the reflection of an insecure owner. You know what I mean? Because, like,
yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm going to, like, I just hired my first employee this summer. And I'm still stressed out about him doing stuff without me, even though I know he's competent and customers like him and, like, he's good. But
when's the right time to start that?
Well,
before you need it.
Yeah, well, exactly, right. And but I was gonna say, like, I'm working on it, but I'm trying not to be threatened isn't the right word, but, like, let him take some of the stress off, you know, and do part of my job, and then because your job as an owner at least never stops, it just changes, right? And it's changed significantly.
And if it doesn't, then you get into the situation I was describing.
Well, yeah, if it doesn't change, then you're just treading water and you're just fucked, right? But, like, my job today is very different than my job a year ago, which is very different than when I founded the company, you know, 2.5 years ago. Like, every, you know, few months, I'm changing drastically in what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, right? But that's because it's a startup, right? If you have a 70-year-old company, then it doesn't change as much. Like, positions kind of stay the same.
Yeah. So I guess back to
this is probably going to be we're probably going to be all over the place. Just to let you know, we'll get better at this. But like I said, we did not prepare for this at all.
No, that's the point. You're getting the candid conversation because if there wasn't a microphone, we'd be doing this anyways.
Yeah.
So.
But I think I hate to be like, you know, say cliche shit, but like the if not now, when? If not you, then who kind of thing, right? Like, it's the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best day is today, right? Like, I can just start fucking spitting cliches, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, in my mind at least, you might disagree, but there's no right time. The right time is now. Like, just do it. Just fucking do it.
Yep.
Because I think that I meet a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, I've been having this idea. I'm going, like, because I'm in the wine industry, and I meet a lot of people in the beer industry, and I hear all the time from home brewers that are like, I'm going to start a brewery one day, right? And they've been home brewing for 30 years. And they're like, I'm starting a brewery. I'm like, what does that mean, though? Right? Like, why haven't you, like, I pretty much made the decision.
What steps have you taken
to
this point?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I pretty much wrote the business plan, got funding started in months, right?
Yeah.
From nothing.
While homeless.
From home, yeah. I finished the business plan when I was homeless, when I was 19 or 18, whatever. And I just kind of jumped in. And I guess, like, that was probably like, you can speak to this a little bit more than me, because, like, when I started, I had nothing to lose. Any failure that I incurred in my business would put me back. And I said that to you multiple times. I'm like, I'm fucking home. I was homeless, and I'll go right back there. I don't give a shit. And I just went, and I doubled down, and it worked. But you've been in a position where you have a salary, and responsibilities, and rent, and a girlfriend, and things you got to pay for. And neither of us, like, have kids or anything, but, like, I know people with children and a wife and a full-time job they work for 30 years, and for them, do you think it's still realistic to just drop fucking everything and jump in?
For most people, not.
Yeah.
But again, it comes to how long are you actually going to be without cash? It's often not that long. Like this business that, this office that we're sitting in, the founders only quit their jobs
pretty recently, right?
Like 8-9 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's already 7-figure business. So from quitting to money, it completely depends on the business you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, because I've gone through this, for context, I've sold franchises, I've sold coaching, and all these, pretty much every product that I've sold since I've started selling things, besides cars and an MLM, which we'll not discuss until another episode. But I think when people are looking to make a change in their life, you can always tell the difference between a guy who's, talking about it, or actually like really close. And the people that are really close, the ones that can actually be closed and will make a change in their lives, they've already got that track made in their mind of they're ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're in a career and you got a wife and kids and you're thinking about leaving, but there's like no visible doors, you're not actually thinking about leaving. Or I should rephrase that. You're not actually thinking about starting something. You're only thinking about leaving.
About your exit. Yeah, okay.
There's a difference between the people that are trying to flee and the people that are trying to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fundamental difference between those two people, because people focusing on starting a business, they're asking the how questions. The people that are just trying to leave, they're asking you the why questions.
Yeah.
And I could never sell a guy on why. I'd drop him after the first phone call. But if I find a guy that's just asking me how, and he's already resolved every reason why, it's an easy close. The most successful guys I've seen, you just jump in. If you start part-time, a lot of people start a business part-time.
There's a lot of people that I know that work, like, that have hired people on commission that don't do shit, and they fire them.
Yeah, but salespeople.
But what I'm saying is, without skin in the game, I don't know how successful you can be.
Exactly. That's the ultimate
just
point.
To interrupt, drink 2 is being open. We're opening the Crafty Rambler. It's 4.7% though, guys. So don't shame me for drinking a fucking Rambler.
Don't shame me for being behind. I'm drinking a quote strong beer, 8% off. It says right on the label, it's strong beer. So, anyways,
try some of this. It's so good. It's my favorite Radler I've tried.
Get some extra slurp in there.
Great.
Okay, yes. The point is
skin in the game.
Skin in the game.
Yeah.
And I found that the people that threw down the most money
mm-hmm.
and put themselves at the most amount of risk tend to actually be in a better financial position if you check like even 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out from that point of them jumping off, from that jumping off point, versus the guy who dips one foot in. The guy that dips a foot in, You follow up with him 9 months later, you still just got a wet foot.
Yeah.
And not only is he more miserable in his job because he's working twice as much and making less money because he dumped money into his business, that's making him no money because he's not giving it attention, and your customers can smell it.
So you think, but from your experience, you're saying that people that take something part-time serious don't usually succeed as fast,
Yeah.
or at all.
If you're going to take it part-time serious, you're going to get part-time results.
Yeah. Like how many hours did you work last week?
Part-time fandom last week?
Yeah, how many hours you put in?
It's reasonable, probably like 65.
Which is more than a full-time job, right?
Right.
I put in 120 hours.
Right. Which I would quote say unreasonable.
That is an unreasonable amount. Context: it is my busy season.
Yes.
I only work like this through the hour from May long to September long, and then
that's right.
We go back slower. And I'm also putting in a lot of hours of things I don't like. I'm doing a lot of low leverage activities like markets and events and stuff that I don't need to be doing, but I've hired someone and I'm working on it. But I guess like. Because this guy was saying, I'm going to find the status. Okay, so we're back. So he just says, when is it the perfect time to quit your job, pursue your business full time? Also, the topic of building credit. We all just shit on him for building credit. What do you think? What's your opinion on building credit?
It's good if you want to buy a car.
Okay. Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
Or a house.
Well, he was like, I have a guy that owns a very large brewery in Saskatchewan on Facebook, and he comments, he's like, building credit, laughs hysterically, like, because business owners, so every single loan that I've tried to get from a bank, they've said, come back with 2 years accountant prepared financials. When I came back with 2 years accountant prepared financials that showed me turning a profit, they said, well, now your personal credit score is too low. I'm like, bitch, I've been running a startup for 3 years. Like, what do you mean? My credit score is too low.
I cut my salary to make these numbers look good for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think banks only loan to you when you don't need it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think credit score, like we know people that are bankrupt that are doing millions of dollars a year.
Right. You use a bank for leverage when you have tons of. It's a leverage point when you have money. And it's a luxury because your cash earns you 20%, but your debt costs you 4%. That's when you borrow money. Yeah, well, I'm borrowing money. I've borrowed money from you before at 12, 15 points. Yeah, way too low. What do you mean way too? 15% for whatever. But I can make 300% on that. Exactly. Right? So, because I remember there's a company that we like found on Facebook that did like purchase order financing, because we have a lot of government purchase orders, but they don't pay us right away. Yeah. So they basically pay you like 80% of the purchase order right up front. They basically buy it from you. And all the comments on their sponsored ad on Facebook were like, 15% interest, this is ridiculous. This is higher than anything. And then I'm like, but they're obviously not business people, right? Yeah. Because as a business person, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's 15% interest, but look how much money I just made off of it, right? Yeah, and you can also turn it in a short amount of time. Because there's smart debt and there's dumb debt, right? And smart debt makes you more money, right? And running a manufacturing operation like I do. 15%, that's paying for your cost of access, your ease of access. Yeah, and you'd pay that kind of points on someone finding you money anyway, in fees, so or more, yeah, exactly. Well, and then like you have, and then my accountant gets in this thread. Amazing, I love your accountant. I love my accountant too. Shout out Mike. Yeah, no, my accountant gets in this thread, and he's like, no, you are wrong. Like the credit does not. Like, I can't get my entrepreneurs, whatever. Loans and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is my chartered professional accountant, by the way. Like, yeah, I guess he's saying like, okay, let's go. So in the same vein of, you said like starting a business with one foot in the business kind of doesn't really work, right? But then how do you fund your business if you don't work part-time or project anything? I think the easy answer is if you need to use a bank, you don't believe in it enough. Okay, but like, because if you believe in it enough, you will take anyone's money.
Which, yeah. But okay, like you're trying to start a business. Let's say it's whatever. Like, you need a minimum of $50,000 to make it, to open. That's just what you need.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get the $50,000 from a bank, where do you get it from?
Well, you know the answer.
I know the answer. I'm asking you.
Private money. You get it from somebody that doesn't need it anymore. From somebody that's sick of GICs and TFSAs and mutual funds and stocks and bonds and all that boring shit.
Egg, barter, and steal, I like to say.
That too. Yeah, that's your style. Minus anything illegal.
We've never broken the law. I've never been convicted of a crime. But I might cut that out too. This is gonna get ridiculous, by the way.
Sure, it gets good.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, I don't know. It's just like, I guess people. Why do you think people are scared to start, or why do you think people, maybe not even scared, but why do you think people don't? Because what do you think the percentage of people are that? And we're talking in business terms because that's what we know. But there's so many people that have a dream, as it were. I don't want to get preachy, but why don't you think people take that leap and do what they want to do, as opposed to what they're either told to do or what they think they have to do?
I've got a couple of cliches that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some reflection on this last night, knowing this episode was coming up. That's all the prep I did.
I did less than that.
Yeah, ruminating on it, relatively sober, and I think what I always think of is men will kill for money,
mm-hmm.
but die for medals.
Okay.
So humiliation
mm-hmm.
is far more, or is a far higher price to some people than the reward of starting that business.
That's interesting.
That's how I see it.
So I guess I feel that in the opposite, that in the first 2 and a bit years that I couldn't pay myself because we weren't making enough money, mm-hmm. the only thing I was able to pay myself was getting in newspapers, and so I focused on that. Like, we've got a ton of media attention. Like, you've seen my media wall. Like, we've got a ton of media attention. I've been on national news. I've been on national radio. I've been in probably 45 newspaper. I've been on the front cover of newspapers. I've been in a magazine, and that was pretty much like the only way I could jerk myself off when I couldn't make money. Right? Like, I looked at the wall. I put all the articles up on the wall with my face and everything, and I looked at those, and I'm like, that's why I do this.
Right. You defined your identity in your business. And for so many people, I think the best definition I ever heard of midlife crisis, and I hope that there is I hope we get that demographic of midlife crisis motherfuckers listening to these guys are like, what are they doing? What am I missing? What did I miss when I was 23? Midlife crisis is defined by the point in your life in which all your accomplishments accumulate to the point where they don't feel like accomplishments anymore, but rather weight on your shoulders.
Okay.
You have the cabin, you have the boat, you have the house, you got the wife, you got the kids. They're all in sports. You go on 2 trips a year. You've got all your investments. Let's say a guy's middle class, upper middle class, doing well. He's an engineer, but hits 35, 38 years old, stretching younger and younger, they say. I wouldn't know. The weight of middle age might hit you at 27 if you're an early bloomer. But the point is, you're focused on this accumulation. It's like those types of things are what will either make, like, the most common entrepreneurs I find are either you get the young and hungry, who are young and dumb enough to believe that they can just drop everything and be successful. Okay. And because they're dumb enough to believe that,
they make it work. They say it works. This is just dumb enough to work. Right?
It works. Yeah, exactly. Which is luckily the position that we were in.
Yeah.
Or you have the guy that's been through it all. He hits his midlife crisis.
And he says, fuck this, I'm quitting my job.
And he says, fuck this, I'm quitting my job because I'm running out of life. Yeah. I'm running out of energy.
Yeah.
I got to do something different. And it's the guy that's 35 to 40 years old. And if you're listening, most likely to succeed entrepreneurs are 35 to 45 years old, let's say, with a wife and kids, a house, a truck, a mortgage, maybe even a cabin to pay for, those are the most likely to succeed because they have the most to lose. But they're only going to succeed if they put themselves in a position where they, in fact, can lose everything.
Because that's the only way to motivate yourself, probably.
Exactly. You got to, like, upon fear of death itself, and also your wife, fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, you were saying to me, one of our drunk talks, you were saying to me that, because I was telling you about a year ago that I was kind of feeling stuck in the business, and that I was feeling like, it's just, I think exactly what you said, it wasn't as much of an accomplishment anymore, it was me, It
was the burdens of your accomplishments.
It was the burdens, and you were saying to me that when I started, I was going completely unrealistic. I'm like, oh, we're going to do $1 billion, and the government's going to be asking me to sell their liquor, and we're going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I set those goals so high because I had nothing to lose. And you're like, remember how you said, I'll go back to being fucking homeless, I don't care. But now, today, and this was a year ago, but I was in a position where I was like, well, I don't want to lose all the sales I'm doing, and I don't want to fuck this up, right? We're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars now. I don't want to, and I kind of changed my tolerance for risk, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't expand any quicker there. I kind of hit a plateau. I think I've thus fixed it. We'll see. But
mindset fixed it. You've yet to real life fix it.
Yeah. But I think I was kind of in a plateau area where I was scared to make a move that was too big because I was going to lose what I'd been working on.
And for context, plateau equals 150%, 200% year-over-year growth.
I want to grow faster, though.
It's pretty fucking slow, man.
Fair.
Which also, I always tell you, I'm like, are you really pissed off right now that you sold all your inventory? Shut the fuck up. Right?
Yeah.
We gotta make sure this is still actually recording. Yeah, it's still going.
Perfect. Yeah, I have that bad habit though. But I feel like I'm kind of weird in that way where it's every time, when I wrote my business plan, last month, I'm down from 9 to 2 products because last month I sold out of everything I have.
Delicious.
I like these. And you were saying I've never seen someone so pissed off to sell every single thing they had. Because when I was thinking, when I wrote my business plan, it was okay, well, if no one likes it and we have to scale back, then blah, 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 blah. Nowhere in there did I write, and we'll sell everything.
And when we run out of bottles.
Yeah, I ran my supplier out of empty bottles, and I had to deal with that. And this has been a summer. But I never thought, no, and I guess the burden of success does become, that's something that people will be like, this fucking rich kid is, complaining about. It's but honestly, it's I get anxiety from, I don't have any product to sell to people.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they say there's different cliffs of wealth. There's the 7-figure net worth wealth person, which you can get by grinding it out, making hardly above minimum wage for your rest of your life. Great. Anybody can become a millionaire in Canada. Beautiful. And then there's the, above $10 million net worth person that would actually be considered a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a couple more creature comforts.
Yeah.
And they make certain sacrifices to get to that level. So they are past having a job. Maybe they're a higher performer, so they've sacrificed some family time. Maybe they spent extra money in education. Maybe not. They've made some extra sacrifices, and there's a toll for that extra, 10x of growth. And then you go 10x from that, the people that can retire 100 million plus. Now that field gets really small.
Yeah.
Because you take those guys that made 10 million, and what would they have to give up to take themselves from 10 million to 100?
Mm-hmm.
And then you take those 100 millionaires, how many of them make it to $1 billion? Or how many make it halfway there?
Less than 20.
What sacrifices do you need to make to get to that level?
Yeah.
So there's a cost reward cliff, and it's like there's big gaps in between where you got to kind of like jump. They say it's like 100 million, and then it's like, I don't know what the next number is. It's like either 500 million or $1 billion. But the space in between 100 million and $1 billion is way less enjoyable and way less comfortable than just staying at 100 million. Your happiness level, your lifestyle will be better if you just stayed. It's going to get worse if you go bigger.
For a long time
until you hit
the next
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Then your lifestyle, hits that next level. Your satisfaction.
Which is true. Like, we're talking big numbers, but like,
right.
Which is true from 30,000 to 100,000 probably.
Exactly.
Right. Going to university is a great example.
Yeah, I know.
It's shitty for 4 years. Like, my girlfriend right now is going to school to be a teacher. And she's working pretty much like for $11.50 an hour at a daycare.
And happy as fuck.
Well, it's stressful.
Right.
But she's going to school so that she can, and this 4 or 5 years is shitty. She has to work a job and go to school, and it's stressful and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of that, now you're working all of a sudden for 80 grand a year, doing pretty much more or less the same job.
Right.
Right.
Which is 80 grand is about pretty close to the happiness number, they say.
What is it? Do you know off the top of your head?
No. Phones are in airplane mode, so no.
Yeah.
It's around there. It depends on what city you live in, obviously.
Of course.
But I think in Kelowna, the happiness number is like 120. Survival is like 70. That I remember.
Do you know the, what is it? If you make over, I'm going to fuck this up. If you make over, so yeah, if you make, I think it's, it's $32,400 a year, USD. You're in the top 1% of the world's income.
Right.
At $32,000 a year.
Sounds like most of my tenants.
Which would make, that's poverty level in a lot of people, right?
Yep.
That's the 1%.
You're living in the ghetto in Cleveland.
Yeah. That's the 1% of the world's income. Which, that kind of perspective.
But also the other 99% isn't so sad.
Well, yeah.
The numbers are whatever, but you go and see those people that are living at these other income levels, and quality of life may not be that different for them in terms of how happy they feel and satisfied they are with their lives. You talk to a Russian man who works his ass off in a factory and goes home to his wife every day. His happiness level is probably going to be the same as the guy making 40 grand in the U.S. as a contractor.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, then do you think these people should not settle, but do you think these people should stay what they're doing and being happy?
I think when you're making the decision of how much money you want to make, you have to decide what is the purpose of having those things. Like, some people are actually driven. I hate to drop names, but she's never going to listen to this podcast. But so my ex, yes, we're at that point. Halfway done. Okay.
I'm on my second drink for the record.
Okay, so no, it's not what you. No.
Don't say her name, though.
No, it's 2 sets of step-parents.
Yeah.
Shockingly different. Start in the same places, the same people with the same family, same household income for 15 years. And then divorce because their deep down desires never lined up. And on the one side, her dad married someone and lived a life in where he was making a basic income. He was kind of bouncing from job to job. He's one of those, I like to call it one of those excuses guys. Could have been self-employed, could have been successful, but he's one of those excuses guys. And just never quite made it, which means makes a pretty average income.
Yeah.
But the woman that he's with, awesome. They love to party, they love to drink, they have fun, they travel, and they're some of the most fun people I've ever hung out with. And then there's her mom. And her mom likes the finer things in life. She likes the big house, the McMansion. Instead of 1 trip a year, she wants to do 2 or 3. She wants to retire 15 years early. Not because of a business or investments, but because she worked a government job and had better pension benefits. Like that, like it was all about security. It was about pleasure, safety, fun. And she then remarried to a man that was kind of the same. Worked for the government, had a big salary, had a lot more money, and they lived only a very slightly different lifestyle than the other set of parents. The only main difference was the size of house and the neighborhood that they lived in, but they basically had the same state of mind and the same level of happiness, regardless of the number of trips they had.
Mm-hmm.
You can get just as much pleasure out of your shitty little patio in the back of your house in the ghetto cracking a beer as you can sitting in the patio of your really nice house drinking expensive wine.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really that much happier? So you have to ask yourself, what is the cost of this extra thing, and does it actually matter at all? And watching those two sets of parents in action, I realized I would probably prefer to either be the guy that makes a base wage, kind of lives in a normal house, and just be like a super average dude and just be chill and never release this pent up genius inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I've either got to be that guy and live at the bottom of my potential and be happy with just living, or I've got to lay it all out there.
Do you think that money is important for the average person?
Money's important because it establishes you in the social chain.
Yeah.
More than anything.
But do you think, for the record, I do think money is important.
Yeah, certainly is. But
I love the Grant Cardone line where he's like, they put it in a G-Eazy song. That Grant Cardone line where he's like, people are saying don't work for money. Money doesn't matter. If you work for just money, you're gonna fail. He's like, let me tell you fucking something. Go get that money. Like, if you're working for money, go get, like, don't let them tell you, oh, you gotta work, you know. Yeah. It's the whole, like, oh, if you work for your dream, you never work a day in your life, right? I don't believe that.
But then you have a different frame of person. The two people I just described were chasing a certain lifestyle. Neither of those people were pursuing a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. But, like, I personally would rather put money back into my business and expand it than pay myself in. Right? I'm very comfortable eating ramen and sleeping on the floor. I've done it once. I'll do it again. Then, you know, I'm very comfortable doing that. Oh, I don't want to say more comfortable, obviously, than being rich, but, like, I'm very comfortable doing that shit. But I like winning. And the more sales I make and the more money I make, the more I'm winning. Typically. So, I don't know. That's why, I don't know.
If you want to motivate a man to do something, and you're asking, is it pleasure or pain? The answer is both.
That's why, I was talking about somewhere where I was saying, like the whole working for money. If you work for something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't subscribe to that at all. No. I love what I'm doing.
Anyone that says that doesn't own a business.
Yeah, I love what I'm doing, and I love the position it puts me in. I love what I do, but I fucking hate my life some days. I hate these markets. Never getting easier. These fucking farmers markets. They're always out in the heat, saying the same line 1,000 times. That doesn't get fun just because I love what I'm doing. Like, 30-hour bottling shift to get a giant order out doesn't fucking get better because I love where I am and what I'm doing.
No.
You definitely work days. But I guess the goal is on not a weekly basis or a monthly basis or even a yearly basis, but on a lifetime basis, have more good days than bad. Right? Because the idea, what they say at least, work 3 to 5 years, pretty much all bad days, and then you have 80 years of good days. Right? That's what they say at least.
So they say.
So they say. We'll see when I get there. But Also, context: neither of us have eaten today. Okay, you've like eaten something but didn't eat dinner. I haven't eaten today at all.
Just standard.
I'm feeling this liquor today.
That's why we're here, for the liquor.
Oh man. Okay, so before we get too drunk,
God, I hope this microphone's picking this up.
Me too. Before we get too drunk, the question of the day was,
when's the right time to start?
When is the right time to start? And Sober Us says, start today. There is no good time to start.
How hard is it for you to start a new bottle?
You want to open the wine? I had a bunch of this.
I was being rhetorical for sure.
We're gonna open the 19 Crimes.
The hangover maker.
Okay, I don't know if this is the 19 Crimes of the Warden, like it's a special version.
I have no idea.
Because I like 19 Crimes, just the normal one, right?
No, they have several varieties.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really like this wine, so I think it's really good. And like $30, eh? Like it's pretty good.
It's on sale.
Is it? Okay. This is a special version. You already had the knife crack for me, that's funny. Say something while I'm doing this. Ask me a question. Give me a fucking... What am I, a winery owner? I can't even open this.
So we did something interesting this week, which was the other time that we got drunk this week was
2 days ago.
Yeah, and we're sitting and talking about this project that we're both super passionate about, and we've been very enthusiastic to get it going. We've got every reason to make it happen and no excuses to sit on it. I feel like this can be really loud.
It is.
Holding music, elevator music.
That wasn't loud at all. Kind of fucked up.
Give it a good whiff. Liquor break.
I like that. I recommend that wine. 19 Crimes.
The Warden.
The Warden. Yeah, it's going. Right? And we're drinking it out of the bottle. We're not even aerating it properly. So, good wine. Good wine.
Isaacs is rolling over in his grave. He's not actually dead, though.
Whoops.
I don't like foil. Yes. So we're sitting there drunk, and we're talking about this project. And we've been having... This happens when we have the same conversation more than X number of times.
Once or twice, even.
Yeah, we have... It changes all the time, but we've had this conversation so and so many times. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, I hate saying this same shit over and over. I don't know if you know those people, but you talk with them and they're talking about this business that they're going to start, or this thing that they thought of, this idea, or this invention, they're talking about it. And it's the same story you heard last time you hung out with them.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Yeah. So we're conscious of that now.
Yeah.
And when we got to the point of where we talked about this for the third, fourth time, we're sitting there in the bar on this nice patio talking about this thing. And like, you know what? As I'm about to say, yeah, we should do this and I need to do this. And I'm like, oh, this is like the third time I've said this. Okay, fuck it. I pulled out my phone and I just started calling realtors on the spot. Yeah. And then at the same time, I called my investor or texted my investor and said, okay, we got to meet up again. Where are you? When are you traveling? When are you not traveling? When can I meet you in August? And those 10 minutes of action has set in motion everything.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, because if we're like, we've said this before, get the fucking guy on the phone. Like, let's go.
Right.
Come on. And that's how we are, though, right? Like, we just kind of do. I don't think that's common for people to be like, let's just go.
Well, when's the right time to start something? Push pause and fucking pick up the phone. That's the real answer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, like we started this podcast and we were going over it the other day and we're like, okay, well, we need mics, we need a recording setup, we need like a mixer or whatever, we need a camera.
But man, we paid a lot for these smartphones. They do all those things.
Literally, yeah. So we're recording on a phone. Because I literally said, I think you said that. You're like, oh, we don't have any mics. And I'm like, dude, like Joe Rogan fucking like 1 through 80 was filmed on on a webcam, like him and Red Band in a basement. Like, you know, like it is what it is, right?
Gary V. back in the day with Wine Library.
It looks like he's in a Al Qaeda kidnapping video, like, you know, sweating, like, you know, whatever. But like, yeah, like just start it, right? Like, it's probably gonna be shitty. This is probably not gonna be very great, but we're gonna do it often and get better.
True. How many of your big decisions have come from
spontaneity?
That's oddly close to where I was going.
Okay.
Fuck off.
I'm in your head.
How many of your big changes in your life resulted from removing something versus doing something new?
That's interesting. I feel like not many.
Not many what? You're not answering the question. It's like, is it A or B? Probably.
You said how many? I said not many. Like, okay.
How many things of this versus
Give me
how many things of that?
Okay, fuck off. Give me an example.
Okay, so, example. Cutting out your friends.
Or your shitty friends.
Cutting out your shitty friends, your high school friends, if you're still hanging out with your high school friends. Also press pause and pick up the phone and dump your shitty friends. So,
hey, they might be good. My business partner is my high school friend.
Right, but you know who that is, and it's probably not the other one. So, is A, dropping your high school associates who are there simply because they're physically close to you, versus you start to read books. Which was more important, removing something from your life or adding something? Because a lot of people are very obsessed with cutting and reducing and eliminating.
I was going to say adding.
And also a lot of people are really obsessed with adding without reducing the waste.
Let me think, right? I started my first business when I still had shitty friends. And I was living in a trap house until I was evicted and homeless. You know, but I added...
You gotta tell me that story one day. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Couple more drinks.
But I don't think I... Cheers. I don't think I actively cut off stuff like that. I think they cut me off.
It just fell away. Well,
I mean, they cut me off.
They cut you off because you changed.
Yeah. Yeah, you ever see that thing that's like, man, you've changed? It's like, God, I hope so.
Right.
Right? Like, I think that I started putting discipline into the business and people stopped calling me because I wasn't free anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Or people would stop calling me because they didn't want to do drugs anymore. Right? So it wasn't as conscious as I need to cut this out as it was, here's my journey, here's what I'm doing, here's my goals, I'm doing them. But I'm not very studious. Like, I never sat down and been like, these are my goals, this is what I want to accomplish. Like, I try to do shit like that. Like, I read that. It doesn't work for me. Like, where I'm like, here's my 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, you know, like, shit like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. I really just need to kind of just go.
Okay, this ties back into another tangent that I've gotten really into this week. So I listened to a podcast episode from Tim Ferriss where he interviews a guy by the name of Neil Gaiman. Sure. And Neil Gaiman is a famous writer, creator of many things, including a new show coming out called Good Omens. He wrote Norse mythology. He wrote the Sandman graphic novels. He wrote Coraline, the children's novel, which immediately preceded a massive award-winning adult book that he wrote. So, and it turned to film and all these other things. So he's a big deal.
Sure.
But talking to an author, those guys know all about starting things.
Fair, yeah.
And hating the writing process, but loving
the final product.
But just they love writing, but they also hate it.
Yeah.
They love their ideas. They love writing stories, but they hate writing.
Yeah.
And this is a common theme among writers. They have to do things to make themselves right.
Yeah.
And I think where I was going with this, we're back.
He's drunk, you can tell.
Yeah.
He hasn't made eye contact with me for like 10 minutes. Just trying to stay alive.
You're making it worse.
This kid's drunk. Man, we haven't even killed much. This is ridiculous. We have been recording for like 40 minutes, not even.
It's supposed to be 90.
It's 54.
Okay, that's not bad.
I'm cutting out a ton of it.
Okay, you were talking about not focusing on the writing.
Yeah.
And the one thing that made this one author actually begin to write was him just saying to himself, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He did his best work when he wrote it in fountain pen in a notebook because he knew that would never get published.
Yeah.
That fountain pen written notebook would never see, a buyer. It would never go to a publisher. And he was able to write the story to himself. And I kind of took that reframe to my journal and to my diary because I realized I was really stressed about things throughout my day. And my dad has the same practice where when you're stressed, take it to a journal and write it out. Spend the last 30 minutes that you're awake writing, not reading, not consuming content, not scrolling on your fucking phone. Writing.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been in the habit of scrolling on my phone for my entire life, since I was like 12 when I got my first flip phone.
Yeah.
But I'm making this change because I found that when I go on my laptop or I do something of consequence and I try to do it while relaxing, like I feel like I'm writing for an audience.
Okay.
And
because you feel like it's going to go somewhere at some point.
Even if that audience is only myself.
Okay.
Only if it's my future self, I feel like I want to impress myself when I go back and read this later.
Yeah.
So the only way to honestly journal is to write in a book that you'll never, ever read.
Okay. Interesting.
Write shit down and promise yourself you'll never read it.
Yeah.
So write as if nobody's ever going to read it. And then when the book is full, fucking burn it.
Okay. And why does that help you?
Because it's an actual exercise of its output.
Sure.
You're taking something from in your head, you're putting it on paper. Because the most perfect a page can be is when it is blank.
Okay.
But when it is blank, it cannot be fixed or improved. And that's not what pages are for.
Yeah.
So fill that shit up.
Okay.
Fuck it up. The whole point is start the act of just doing something new for the first time, like starting to journal or starting a new page, fresh page. It is no more difficult or extreme than starting a business.
Wow.
That's the conclusion I came to last night, not completely sober.
So, that's a bunch of bullshit. Just kidding. I don't know.
It sure is. That's Belgian strong wisdom.
True. I don't know why that helps you, and it doesn't help me. I don't think everyone.
Because you're not a starter. Or, sorry, you are a starter. You've never struggled with starting.
Starting is the easiest part.
Right.
You just do it.
Why is it easy?
What do you mean? Well, what's stopping you? Well, I guess that's and I have enough self-awareness to realize that that's not a mindset that a lot of people have.
In my conversation with my partners this last week, I've worked with some high-level coaches.
Yeah.
People you pay $1,000 an hour just to speak with. Mm-hmm. And through all that coaching, none of it's been effective to me, except for this conversation I had this week. Great timing. Which is that this guy looks at me, he's like, why didn't you make this successful?
Yeah.
Why didn't you take this bull by the horns and fucking run with it?
Yeah, you were talking about before with your parents.
Yeah, and he's like, there's literally no reason.
Yeah.
Most people that are smarter than you, or coaches or business owners, they're going to sit there and try to solve your problems.
Yeah.
Give you answers. Give you solutions.
Yeah.
That's a coach's
mandate almost.
Yeah, he's compelled to give you answers and solutions.
Yeah.
And this is why I love these guys, because he looks at me, instead of giving me a solution, he's like, there's literally no excuse.
Yeah.
And for the camera, we got these shirts today. It says rent's due, no excuses, because that's his mantra.
Yeah.
When you have a guy sitting in front of you telling all the reasons he can't do something, like, none of them are real.
Yeah.
If you sit there and justify with psychology and like, I think because you were this way in your childhood, you had this experience and this happened, so now you feel that you got to do, like, fuck that. No, you're not doing it for no reason, so do it.
Yeah. Do you think that demoralizes a lot of people, though? That kind of mantra and that kind of idea?
It sure does.
Because you and me, it would put a fire on our ass and make us work harder. But do you think a lot of people would be like, oh, I guess, like, I don't know why I didn't do it, and then just, like, fall deeper into that?
Let me go meta on this.
Sure.
So we're talking about this post getting liquor, pre-recording, driving back here. The idea of putting out content before you're ready and or good at it, or of anything useful to say,
It's scary.
i.e. where we are
right now.
We don't feel like we have anything useful to say or anybody would listen to us.
Yeah.
You do it before you're ready because you're never going to be ready.
That's what I was going to say too. You're never going to be ready.
And you do it before you're ready because you need the context of everything that happened before and after.
Because you need to be able to listen to a podcast that was shitty that you did.
Right.
To give you context of now why you are good at what you're doing. Because I think the journey is important.
And if we produced a first episode that was polished, people would
question it.
Be forced to not believe everything else we do talk about.
Everything we do is raw, right? Like, I have no other way of talking than just my personal experience. And I say probably a lot of wrong things, incorrect things. But that's because that's where I am at, right?
So what do you do when your back's against the wall?
What did Harvey Specter say? Break a hole through the wall behind you. Really.
Well, whatever you have to do, so.
Well, yeah, whatever. Like, I've never been in a position where I couldn't fix it.
Right.
I've felt like I have been.
But you've plenty times put yourself in a position where you had to take action.
I think I do that on purpose.
Exactly.
Because
architect your own life to fuck it up.
Well, I do better work when I'm under the gun. Right?
Procrastinators unite.
Literally tomorrow, yeah. Yeah. Like, but literally, like, I do better work when the deadline's tomorrow, right? Or maybe not better work, but work it all.
Work.
Right? And that's how I used to do school assignments, was the morning of.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd write essays a lunch break before.
Yeah, exactly. And
okay, let me switch up. How are you in school, Willows?
Poor. Which was polar opposite of you.
I was a straight A student.
I was
loved by teachers.
I was a 48% student that they rounded up to a 50 because they, quote, didn't want to see me again. I liked school. I really did. I really liked high school. Because I was able to be friends with everybody in school. Because the kids who took their education seriously respected me because I was smart. And the kids that didn't respected me because I was funny, and I would cause chaos and fuck with teachers and talk out of turn, you know. And there's a lot of stories I could go in with that, but I'll just brush on it today. But, you know, and then I was into computers, so people that were doing programming and stuff like me, and I understood the street, and like I had been in some pretty tough positions, so the kids that brought guns to school liked me because I understood like respect and like no snitching and stuff like that. Like that, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, like
Back it up right into the 10 crack commandments. Why did that ever happen? Because I know your parents, and they're not the reason that you ended up there.
Where? Ended up where?
Understanding the street. You didn't have to do that.
I guess it was probably rebellion. My parents are both teachers.
Very nice people. Very lovely people. Great parents.
We're on much better terms now.
Correct. Because?
We're both people now.
Well said. Oh, God. The day you find out your parents are people is the fucking ugliest day of your life.
Being under their thumb, neither of us knew how to behave.
Yeah.
They kicked me out right when I turned 18. We were not very on good terms. We are on I see them often now, once or twice a month, and have dinner. We're on good terms now. But we were not back then for a long time. And I was just I remember the moment that my entire mentality about public school, I shifted to entrepreneurship. I remember the moment.
Describe it.
It's grade 11, and so I read in the school handbook with all the rules, like with that I'm sure no one reads, but I read it, all the regulation, everything. And I read in there that teachers in River East Transcoastal School Division can't actually reject you from handing in an assignment late. Like, due dates are irrelevant. They have to accept every assignment up until the last day of classes. Like by law, like it's in the regulation, and they can deduct up to 15% for being late. So I never did an assignment the entire year. And then on exam week, I just did everything and handed everything in one package. And then, because I knew they couldn't fail me.
Unreal.
Yeah. So I basically took a vacation for 9 months and then did 5 days of hard work and then passed with a 50. And I did that for my grade 9 to 12.
That's enterprising.
Yeah. Anyway, and I didn't have a locker entire high school. I didn't even go to the TA where they assigned lockers. I just didn't go. Didn't have a locker, didn't have a textbook, didn't have any notes. Okay. Anyway, but I remember going into my grade 12 or grade 11 psychology teacher's room to hand in all these assignments, right? And she basically said, "You're one of the smartest students I've ever had, and you don't apply yourself." Right?
Oh God, I hate that phrase.
And
you don't apply yourself.
And I was
something to apply myself to.
And I was in school mode, so I was being a dick, obviously. And I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot. And I walk out of the class or whatever. And afterwards, I was thinking about that conversation. And I'm like, I actually do get that a lot. Like, I have many teachers say to me, like, not even like say to me, oh, you're a smart student, whatever. But like teachers that like I used to love making movies when I was a kid. I still do. Still love making movies. I wanted to go to film school for a long time when I was younger. I used to make a living.
Why are you going to do all the editing?
Yeah, I'm going to do all the editing here. I used to make a living. I started a business doing freelance videography. Mm-hmm. My brother would play sports, and I'd record them and then edit like TSN style highlight reels and stuff, and sell them burn them on DVDs and sell them to parents. This when I was like 14. I was making like $2,000 a season doing that, and I bought an iMac and a camera and editing software and all this.
Yeah, where is that?
Man,
just kidding.
Take a sip, hold on. And so I used to love making movies. So when an English teacher, history teacher would be like, hey, yeah, you got to write this assignment, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I would always ask, can I make a movie instead on the subject matter? And most of them let me. And I would get my friends together and we would film stuff and I would edit it together and super cool. And like, so these teachers would like, some of them, like my history teacher for years after I left high school would show my video to his classes every year as an example of like what to do on this assignment. So it wasn't just these teachers blowing smoke up my ass, because I had teachers like, actually caring about my assignments and using it as an example. And then also I had teachers like going to bat for me. Like in grade 9, I got kicked off a school trip for just long story. And these 2 teachers of mine argued with administration to get me back on the trip. Basically said, if he's shitty on the trip, you can personally blame me. Like my teachers were saying this. And for no other reason than they wanted me to have fun. So I'd been in a situation where I was a shitty student on paper, a shitty student. I never raised my hand. I refused to because I'm like, I don't want to play in your fucking rules. So the teachers that let, because I actually cared about these debates and stuff that we had in English class and in history class and shit like that, and psychology and sociology, and I would give valid points, but I would shout it out, and if they were like, no, raise your hand, I would just never contribute. I'd fall asleep because I don't fuck off. It's so demeaning. I'm gonna raise my hand. Fuck off. And shit like that. So I would like be like that, but I constantly had these same teachers being like, you are one of the best, smartest, brightest students I've ever met. So that moment in grade 11 where I was like, yeah, I get that a lot, that thing. I was like, what is this system then? If I'm getting 48s and I'm shitty and getting suspended.
And all the teachers say you're brilliant.
And people think I'm brilliant. What are we doing here? Like, what is this? Right? And that I actually...
Not complying, that's what...
I wanted to go to film school. I also wanted to go to law school, actually. And I was...
Me too. I think a lot of entrepreneurs hit that point.
Yeah, I was
Until you speak with a lawyer and they're like, don't fucking do it.
Well, I was going to do it because... And to this day, I can still quote random laws. And like stuff like that. Like I can still quote you laws out of the book, and I can still like people ask me, they're like, well, what happens if you do this? I'm like, well, like because obscure shit like that, like dueling law and stuff that fascinates me. And I was gonna go to law school, probably be in corporate law, probably. And but it was basically like I looked at the schooling you had to do, and I'm like, and then I had to be someone's bitch, like coffee boy for years before you actually became a...
And then when you're a great lawyer, you're just some entrepreneur's bitch.
Exactly. Right.
Sorry to say.
Yeah. Yeah. But, so I was going to go to law school, I was going to film school, and I just decided not to. And then, and then I got kind of wrapped up. I was hanging out with kids that were doing MLMs, and we'll get into that in a different episode. And that kind of changed my mindset when I was like 15 to be more entrepreneurial. But I'd always been like I had lemonade stands when I was 5 years old, and I used to buy and sell shit off Kijiji, and I had that videography business and all this.
So the whole Gary Vee experience.
The whole Gary, yeah, way before the internet. Well, not before the internet, before I was like consuming content on the internet. Yeah. Right. I was doing this kind of stuff. So I'd always kind of been that mindset where I'd have like I remember like how like selling Lego and like stuff like that. Like I just remember like doing, just whatever I could. And I think my experience, I think public school fails a lot of people. I think 85% of people.
Yes.
It fails.
Agreed.
And I made this point the other day. I don't think we should change it. I think that if public school didn't fail me, I wouldn't be an entrepreneur today.
Interesting.
If they engaged me more, I'd be working a shitty job I hate, making $100,000 a year.
They would have got you.
They would have got me.
They got him.
Because I think it works. The kind of people that can learn off of listening to a lecture than taking a test are, I think 15% of people, I would say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say 15% of people in the world learn well, not well, but like that is their preferred way of learning.
Yeah, and I'm in that 15%. I was good at school. I will not ever claim to be the smartest person in the room, but god damn it, I'm good at school.
Mm-hmm. And I will claim to be the smartest person in the room often. But I'm not good at school. And I don't necessarily, like, I respect, like, my girlfriend's a really good, like, she was mad that she had an A. Like, she had all A pluses, and she had 1A, and she was mad.
Yeah, love those.
So, like, I respect people that are good at school, because I'm not. Like, I'm not like, oh, well, that's stupid. Like, I honestly do see the value in a lot of education. I honestly do, and I'm not capable of it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not
focused enough.
I'm not whatever. You know, I think they have a lot of skill. People that are good at school have a lot of skills that I don't, right? But then what's the Robert Kiyosaki thing? Why A students work for B student, or why A students work for C students and B students work for the government?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. A students work for C students and B students work for the government. Yeah. And
and being an A student, honestly, Robert Kiyosaki is one of the first authors I listened to.
Yeah.
And being A student, that fucked with my
psyche. Yeah.
And
you probably work for C students right now. Or like you're
working for fucking dropouts.
Oh, exactly. Right.
So
yeah.
No, I'm quote working for dropouts, but also I've hired and fired MBAs. Like,
I was saying I don't hire people with degrees.
Right.
When I was looking at to expand my sales team, you know, I wasn't hiring people with business degrees. I don't think they're learning what they should be learning. I don't like business school. I've been interviewed. I've been profiled by business students.
Yep.
Multiple, like twice now.
Actually, same. I've been interviewed by U of M case study.
Yeah. Based on, they're like, hey, you're our age and you're doing what?
Yeah.
I've been interviewed by them, and like the questions they ask, like I'm like, no, like I can't really think of. Well, like they thought like they put so much value into like having a professional looking LinkedIn with headshots, and you print nice business cards, right? And you go to networking events, and I'm like, bro.
That's how you become a salesperson.
No, I'm like, just show up, right, to an event, and
eat all the free sandwiches.
Eat the free sandwiches, which I did. That's how I lived for a while.
Hide in the back.
No, and then meet people, and when they like you, be like, here, add me on Snapchat. I've made a lot of money, like talking, like some of the bars, some of my biggest clients order from me on fucking Facebook Messenger. They're like, hey, Willows, like, grab me another keg. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, it's not fucking rocket socks. Like, it's not like, you don't need this. I know people that spent more on headshots than I started opening a winery.
True.
Fuck off. Like, it's not that complicated. Like, so that's their mentality, was like, oh, this is, I'm like, just fucking have them on Snapchat. Like, it's not that, like, and they're like, what? What do you mean? Like, business people want to make goddamn
LinkedIn.
Business people want to make money. The easiest way you can make the money, that's what they're going to do. Okay, so welcome back to the break that we totally didn't take. We're going to kind of cycle back to the original point now. We came up with, I think, the first time we really have to go to the bathroom after drinking is a good time to kind of circle back to the original point and re-hit the debate on an alcohol level. Why am I talking like this? I don't like this. Anyway, should you start a business today?
My gut first tells me, no.
My gut first tells me, well, yeah, obviously.
Which is what makes this podcast interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's nothing...
A reason to not.
There's no reason to not. I guess, like, I understand, I empathize that there's things for you to lose, but I think what you're going to lose, I don't think is ever as negative as what you lack to gain, if that makes sense. Just fucking start, man.
So when you feel the loss of not starting something,
is going to be painful.
Right. But does that pain start before or after you tell somebody about your idea?
Before. Way before.
Even in your own mind.
I think you'll go crazy never doing your own, what you want to do.
Yeah. My version of going crazy is I don't feel like I'm in touch with myself at all if I don't do these things. I'm so energized by doing these risky things. I was speaking to my mom about this yesterday. And for context, I live with my mother, not because, I've been living with my mother since I was 15, but since I haven't lived with her since I was 11. And for the first time since then, I've now lived with her. But she is probably the most common person, the most like myself, besides Willows, that I know. And we were talking about the subject. Basically, we spent an entire evening together. And, you talk about it, it's like, yeah, we're going to go for a bike ride, go for a nice dinner. I'm going to spend time with my mom, have a great time. Because I haven't done that for a while. I've been working too much. So did that yesterday. And it was almost like completely against her plans. She's like, I was going to do this and this. I thought you were staying in the city tonight. And instead we went out to dinner. Went out to the golf course, got a nice meal, bought a couple drinks, went for a bike ride, did the whole bit. I think that kind of sums up where you've kind of got to surprise yourself with the different things that you start. You do it before you're ready. You have the conversation before you're ready. You make that phone call far before you're prepared for it. And the reason that I don't start things is because I begin to think about them. And my thoughts instead go to where Willows thinks about, I can't not start this.
Well, I think about the upside first.
You think about the upside, but you're also like, why the fuck not?
Literally on the way here, I was like talking about sponsorships for this podcast. And
right.
Right.
The eternal optimist.
Yeah.
The pleasure of this podcast is experiencing the polarity of
between the two of us.
Willows and Tyler, and Willows being the for and the Tyler being against. I am the constant antagonist of every good thing that could happen in your life.
Mm-hmm. But I think where that
the protagonist.
Where that your negativity, not even negativity, but like your opinion on stuff when you tell it to me makes me more realistic and dial things back and makes me more productive and efficient. I like to think that my ridiculousness makes you more optimistic and shoot higher and get more done. Like we kind of balance ourselves in that way.
Our key conversation is, quote, we're both broke and miserable, but at least I own a business at the end of the day.
That's what I said to him. Yeah, no, that was a good.
And I was like a literal, right.
That was that was like a year ago, not even.
No, that was less. That was
before you started this.
That was the conversation that made me get into this place.
Hey, I made time. We have it on the record. I got you this business. Yeah, because you were working for a startup, and I was running a startup, and we were bitching about our lives. I had just had a big personal trauma.
Same complaints.
Yeah, and we
similar
were
complaints.
Yeah, similar, and we were in a not either great position, and yeah, I basically said, well, I don't think I said it that rude, but I definitely said
it was pretty damn close.
I was drunk. I basically said, yeah, like we're both shitty. At least I own my business, and that inspired him to come to where he is today. So I guess I'm nonchalant, and motivational. I want 2% royalties on everything.
Sure.
Deal.
No problem.
Okay. So run it back. I think there's no better day than today. I think just start something. I think record a shitty podcast and just put it out there and see what happens. So, and you're on what? You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's say fucking buddy over here, because we're Canadian.
He's like looking off into the corner.
I'm looking at the cork
that I threw. This kid is drunk.
Let's say you're one of those people similar to myself, probably like most people, less like yourself.
Sure. Okay.
All to say, what if I feel like I don't have the skills to do what I want to do?
What's your Myers-Briggs?
ENTP.
Yeah, so is mine, which is weird.
Yeah. Me and this guy are the same sides of the... We're different sides of the same coin.
ENTP, though, is like, I think you're more introverted than I am.
I am. Sort of.
ENTP is like 3% of the population. We're both that, which is weird.
Both sides we're different sides of the same coin.
Well, I think we have like the same goals, but we have different ways to get there.
Right.
I once described you as...
Nature or nurture?
Maybe, yeah. I described you once as having the same 25-year goal as me.
But different 5 and 10.
But different 5 and 10. I described my current business partner as having the same 5-year goal as me. I described someone I haven't met yet as having the same 10-year goal as me. And I think me and you have the same 25-year goal. Like, I think me and you, our jump from 100 million to 1 billion, that'll be me and you together, I think.
That'd be fun.
I think that's... But right now, if we were to partner up, we'd fuck each other over.
Cheers to that. So let's talk about self-awareness.
Sure.
The point of the podcast is to pour out the things we know, the things we've learned, and the things we understand as truth that we all take for granted that other people are hearing for the first time.
So the point of the podcast is to actually get drunk? I don't know where Tyler's coming from.
Our new intro.
Contrast, right? Do you think... I think I'm self-aware. Do you think you're self-aware?
Absolutely.
Do you think I'm self-aware?
Number one skill and thing we have in common is how we talk about and see ourselves.
Me saying I'm self-aware, if I'm not self-aware, is just reinforcing that I'm not self-aware, right? Okay, but like I think you're self-aware, you think I'm self-aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun subject because there's oxymorons abundant.
Yeah.
But
self-awareness is, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, that's the number one thing he would teach. If he could teach something to someone, self-awareness is the number one.
Right, nature and nurture, though.
Because you, if we're being honest here, might not be the best founder.
Certainly not.
But you're the best, sixth in command of $1 billion company that I think I know. Like I've seen you in a COO, Chief Operating Officer position before, and you've done extremely well. I, on the other hand, if I have any boss, when you can speak to this.
You're unemployable.
If I have anyone to report to, I will fucking subjugate that. Like, I will not put up my hand, for instance, right? Like, I'm not like...
We're keeping minutes.
Yeah. Like...
He's like, how many seconds in a minute?
Yeah. You know, like the Jesse Eisenberg in the Facebook movie? The Social Network movie or whatever? Like, Jesse Eisenberg, when he's like... They're like... that they do, like, simple math. He's like, wait, just checking your math on that. Yes, I got the same thing. Like, I would do that in fucking meetings. Like, I do that in meetings as the boss. But, like, I would not be a good, even though I'd be an effective CEO in a large company.
You'd be a terrible CEO.
Okay. Well, what do you think I'd be effective at?
You sit on the board and show up once a month, half-cooked.
Okay, but I worked 120 hours last week. Do you think I'm not being effective?
On something else.
Yeah, but do you think I'm not being effective doing that?
Certainly you are. But we're talking about billion-dollar companies.
Mm-hmm. So where do you think my place is in a billion-dollar company?
Outside of it.
Which is interesting to say. Ideas, though, right?
Right.
Yeah. What?
The real
not being a part of the company. That's your place in the company. Fuck you.
No, it's like, it's the board. It's the founders.
Yeah.
We're getting too technical. But fundamentally, there's operators, there's creators, there's visionaries, there's all these different people.
Yeah.
But what I want to take on in my life, in the business context, is what I've understood, because I've never been the cliched business owner. Like,
sure.
I didn't relate to Gary Vee where, like, I was like hustling hockey cards when I was 12.
Yeah.
You know what I was doing when I was 12? I was
studying.
reading entire sections of the library
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah.
I'd pick an author and a section of the library, and it would crush it. I'd take out a stack of books as high as I could carry, and I would crush it in a week, and I'd bring it back and I'd start again.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing when I was 12.
Yeah.
And I was like making fun of my teachers because I was reading books at the levels that they wrote their thesis at.
Yeah.
And commenting on the themes of it and aggravating them because I was challenging them.
Yeah. So
I was rebellious, but also a teacher's pet at the same time, except for that one guy.
Okay.
And
I
if I say anything in business, though, it's that you don't have to be this specific person to get the goal that you want. Because
I think I agree with that. That I think everyone has their own way of getting there.
Right. So a Steve Jobs billionaire
Yeah.
versus a Bill Gates billionaire versus a Warren Buffett billionaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very different people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're talking acid trip versus programmer.
Yeah.
Versus this guy's a farmer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that a lot. I think that, and so that's what I've learned. That's where I've been more now as I'm getting older and more mature.
Who you are doesn't fucking matter.
Well, not even that. I used to, when I was like 17, I used to be like, oh, you want to go to university, bro? Not start a business, bro? Fuck you, bro. You're dumb, bro. Like, you know, I used to be like that kind of mentality where I'm like, anyone...
Also, contributed from that MLM that we're going to talk about in a future episode.
Yeah. But I was at a position where I'm like, if you're not doing what I'm doing, you're dumb. You are less than me, right? But now as I'm getting older and actually been in a business, actually see people, it's like I can appreciate what people do a lot more. Like I could never be a fucking daycare worker like my girlfriend.
Oh, no.
Right? I appreciate what she does.
3-4 days.
And I think it's not even that, man. I would yeet these kids. She is a kid.
Right out the door.
She is a kid that like keeps wanting to suck out of the pool filter, or not the pool, the fish tank filter. That's like his thing. Yeah. He's like, can I go in the pool in the fucking fish tank? Like he asks everyone. He tries they've had to like pull him off the fish tank all the time. Man, I would punt that kid. I'm not actually gonna punt the kid, but like I would throw that goddamn kid. You know what I mean? Like, like I can't even think. And that's what she does for a living. My girlfriend, 8 hours a day, and I respect the hell out of it because I don't have the patience, right? If you put me in charge of a village, like, you know, I would get us killed. I'd be like, get the kids out of here, like, you know what I mean? So as I'm getting older,
you take on the king.
Yeah, but like as I'm getting older, I respect more that there's more moving parts that are productive in life than just what I can do, right? And some things I'm really bad at, and those things some people are good at, and I now, instead of being like, well, my skills are the best skills, I'm appreciating that people are like, oh, no, this person is smarter than me and can do what I can't do. And I've been respecting that a lot more recently in the last, like, 2 years.
So what makes you a good leader?
I don't know, fearlessness maybe? I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of just like, let's do it. Like, I'm kind of...
So you just drive?
I get, like, I always describe as, like, I just sprint and then my partner cleans up behind me kind of thing.
Right.
Like where I'm like what the first keg I ever sold to a restaurant. I was just I was eating in the restaurant randomly, and it was a middle of the day, and like the assistant manager was there or whatever, was waiting on us.
So drinking in the middle of the day?
Of course, drinking in the middle of the day.
If you don't, you better start.
Sorry. Anyway.
Still recording?
Yeah. Anyway, that was an alarm. Anyway, like the first keg I ever sold to a restaurant was like I was eating in the restaurant like middle of the day, and like so it was like not busy, and the assistant manager was waiting on us or whatever, and we were just kind of shooting the shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I just started this company and we're making cider, and he's like, oh, you're making cider, really? He's like, well, we want to get a cider on tap, and I'm like, okay, like, can I talk to someone? Like, and he's like, oh yeah, brings a manager over and they're talking. I'm like, okay, yeah, I told him about the story and whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, we're interested. And he's like, can you come in next week and give me a sample? And I'm like, I actually have a sample in my van right now, like in my cooler. Can I go grab it? He's like, yeah, fuck yeah. So I go grab it, sample him it. And he's like, man, this is good. I'll bring it on. And this would have been around this time of year, but like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I guess. And so there was a football game, like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were playing like later that day, right? And their restaurant was right by the stadium, so they always had a ton of people. And they're like, can you keg this? And he said, do you keg this? And at this point, I don't have any kegs. I've never kegged this before. I don't own any kegs. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, can you get me a keg before the game tonight? I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, okay, deal. Shakes my hand. Walk out of the building. I don't have any kegs. I don't have any of this kegged. Call my partner. I'm like, you need to get a keg right now. There's like 20 minutes or like an hour before the brew supply store. I'm like, go to the brew supply store, get a keg. He's like, what? Why? I'm like, I just sold it. So like, we need it. And he goes and gets it and we fill it up and we bring it over and I sold it. That was the first keg I sold. It was just like, I was literally like, I don't have it, but I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, we can get you a keg. I'll go grab one. Right? So I've always been like that. Where I'm like, let's just like, that's a great example of like, let's just do it. And I don't know, you could probably speak more to why people follow me, I guess. But like, I have 3 people that have my name tattooed on them. Right?
That's what we'll also talk about on that MLM episode.
No, we'll talk about that another time. Like I have my brand is Vote Willows, right? Mm. That's probably the account this will go up on. Like Vote Willows is my brand, and so I have 3 people that have Vote Willows tattooed on them, because and the guy that has it on his wrist, the first time he met me was when he was getting that tattoo, but he just like followed me on Snapchat for years. I've been a fan, right? And so like, and I don't say that to brag, I kind of do, but like I say that like, why are people so enthralled in what I'm doing that they'll do something like that? Like obviously I'm inspiring something, right?
For every one tattooist, there's 1,000 fans.
But I also have a bunch of people that message me all the time, being like, oh yeah, I've been following you, blah, 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 right? I don't want to jerk myself off too much, but like, why do you think that is?
I think it's exactly what you said, the fearlessness.
Because I don't consider myself even close to an influencer.
Or smart.
Or even smart.
Or super successful.
Okay. Let's like, fucking scale back here, guys.
Those are not the priorities.
But I think I do a lot of... I think, like... just the fact that I'm getting drunk talking about this, I think shows a perspective of success that a lot of people don't see, where you can get drunk, and it's not just because I'm in the fucking wine business, guys. It's not that. That's part of it, but that's not it. I'd be getting drunk if I wasn't in the wine business. Look at Tyler. You can get successful, and you don't need to like trade off all the good things in life. You know what I mean? No. Like, you don't need to be like people always say to me, or I hear people that aren't experienced in business basically like shitting on capitalism and like, oh, why the fuck would I want to trade 120 hours? Like, it's not that serious. You know what I mean? Like, we get to get drunk and we're getting rich and we're getting successful and building a business. It's not fucking like
having fun.
You gotta show up with a tie and work 80 hours and you hate it. You know, it's to be rich. It's like, it's not like that. So I think why I strike a chord in a lot of people is like, I'm just kind of an average guy, more or less, that maybe not an average person, but like I'm an average, like I'm not this fucking genius, right? Like, my business partner's smarter than me. Like, I can't do fucking math in my head. I can barely keep my fucking schedule straight. Like, I'm not very smart on books, right? But I know how people work. I know how to do sales. I know how to talk to people. I know how to produce interesting content and stuff like that. But like, I'm drunk or yelling into a fucking microphone right now, and I'm building a successful business. Do you think you're smarter than me? You probably are. Go do it then. Start today. Fuck off.
Prove me wrong.
I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I don't know. Why do you think I'm a good leader?
I think it's the impulse that people lack.
Yeah.
And coming from the other side of the table, literally and figuratively. I'm the guy that sits back and analyzes people like you to see what you did right and what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And I try to choose the right and put it into
like a plan.
Personality.
Yeah.
Into my plan.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different approach because in the last couple of years, we can agree, I've made a lot more money than you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But also built nothing of significance.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
But I've made more money than you.
Google my name.
Right.
Willows Christopher right now.
You Google my name, you might get an
article with me.
An article of Willows Christopher.
Right? Google Willows Christopher. Google Shrugging Doctor. Like, I don't know, depending on your cookies, but like.
But the irony is.
It's pages of Google that are my face.
Right. And the irony is, I helped you build that first media list.
Yeah.
I was there before you launched your company.
Yeah.
I helped you create this delivery system that never actually became anything what we thought it would be.
It still works, but yeah.
But it never made sense in the first place.
No, but I was crazy. I was like,
that.
We're going to do $1 billion. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah.
We were crazy enough to believe that
we would change everything.
Right. And
in a way I have.
But from completely different positions.
Correct.
I've been in a position where instead of always on the hustle, I've always been on, I'm going to get into a place.
With position.
I'll work for free.
Yeah.
I don't care about the money. I'm just going to get what I'm here for. I'm going to learn some things. I'm going to see some things. Maybe get a reputation for it, meet some people. But it's not going to be just for the money. And that weird split focus, which absolutely does not make sense when you're building a business. I'm going to do this not for the money. Because you're going to run out of fucking money.
Well, the thing is, though, I didn't do it necessarily for the money. I mean, I was building for the money.
But you always turn to profit.
Well, not all. Yeah, I have now. Yes.
You're selling hockey highlight reel videos.
Well, no, okay. Yeah, yes. Okay. I thought you meant with this business. Yeah, I was always
You're an enterprising person.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of such, where I studied the enterprising person.
Yeah.
And did nothing.
Yeah.
For what reason? Couldn't tell you today.
But could I tell you why I'm an enterprising person?
Sure.
No, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. So I don't know why I'm not. You don't know why you are.
Because you were saying my family's not like this.
No.
My extended family is not like this.
Nope.
I'm the first entrepreneur in I think ever.
Yeah.
In my family.
Besides farmers and a watchmaker, but self-employed does not equal enterprising.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, I have employees. Like, I'm not just a farmer. You know what I mean? Fuck up.
You're not a watchmaker.
I'm not a watchmaker. I like watches, but
I've got an uncle that's not a watchmaker.
Wow, maybe a watch. Anyway, but the same reason why you don't know why you are that way, I don't know why I'm this way either. But I know I am, and I'm self-aware enough to know my strengths.
The bottom line, it doesn't matter what you are.
Doesn't matter what you are, you can start today. That's my point.
Yesterday.
I'm drunk. I think we're now drunk.
We've committed at least 19 crimes.
At least.
Sponsor us.
I think.
No, we won't take your money.
I think there's no excuse for you to start.
I think there's a lot of excuses for you to start, but you got to disregard all of them.
Okay. So, sober and drunk. The point of there's no perfect time to start. You should just start. I think we both agree that's true.
Pause this goddamn podcast and pick up the phone.
And start whatever you're dreaming of starting.
Something. Little thing, big thing. Phone call, text message, note, email.
Step in the right direction. Stop talking about it, right?
For the love of God, stop talking about it.
Well, the thing is, like, I never even talked about it. I just did it. We're at an hour 50. That's probably good. Point being, just start. That's where I'm at. Where are you at?
I say take your time, let yourself get to the point where you do, but also realize you got to put yourself in a position where you don't have any other options.
Yeah.
Drop your friends, break the news to your wife, her life is about to get worse.
Yeah.
Tell your kids they're going to get more interesting.
Yeah.
If you don't have either of those, stare in the mirror and just say, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
This or that. And the only way, and I've paid thousands of dollars to come to this conclusion, ironically. Willows did not.
I have made thousands of dollars to come to this conclusion.
Yes. The polar difference. You have to understand that if you do it, your life will be okay.
Yeah.
If you start that business, if you make that change, your life will be okay. And you will survive, you will pull through because of the act of doing it will make it okay.
Yeah.
If you choose to not, you will also be okay.
Fair.
You will live a life, you'll be happy, and you'll fit in with an entire demographic of people that have made that same choice. You'll relate to them, you'll feel it. Those people that didn't want to make that sacrifice, you will understand it, you will be okay, and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Once you understand that you can have both,
either one,
and both be
not
happy.
Not both, but either way.
You can have either one, be equally happy.
Yeah.
At that point, you can make an actual decision.
Yeah.
You make a choice of one or the other.
Okay.
Fuck it or not. Start a business or don't. I don't give a shit. I've got no financial gain in this. I'm here. I'm going to wake up tomorrow.
Unless you want us to invest, then call me.
Call me.
Hashtag
vote Willows.
Hashtag vote Willows. Yeah, man. Okay, this has been episode 1 of Alcohol Past This Point. My name is Willows.
My name is Tyler, and don't drink. Don't listen to this sober.
Listen to this tipsy. You can follow me on @VoteWillows, VOTEWILOOWS. That's everything you can think of: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitch. I don't know. Steam. Name a thing. It's Vote Willows probably. Age of Empires 3. Vote Willows. Figure out. Yeah. I don't know. Follow the Facebook page. Alcohol Past This Point podcast. I'll probably make an Instagram. I don't think I'm going to make a Twitter. Maybe I'll make a Twitter. We'll see.
After this.
I already made a Facebook today. But yeah, Alcohol Past This Point podcast. And then Tyler doesn't get any time to boost his social media. I do. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will be back with you probably next Thursday, I think. I just fucked it up. Because I think I'm going to edit this and release it like Saturday, so I'm not going to. We're going to try to do some more, though, and this is an hour 15 minutes, and it's too long. I'm going to cut it out.